Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Con Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Empire Media, AMPIRE. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget you can read my work on ESPN.com. I have a lot of stories up from this week about Marshon Lattimore and other various things with the Commanders, the run game, etc. So, couple things before I get to the news of the day and things you need to know, and then my 5 things I think. So, a couple programming notes for next week because it's an abbreviated week. We'll have the game review, of the game coverage after the Commanders play the Steelers on Sunday. Then Bram and I will do the live stream Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern time. I'll have hopefully have an Eagles reporter on, hopefully Tim McManus who covers them for ESPN. And I'll have my 5 things I think. Maybe something else, but that's a lot for an abbreviated period. So anyways, just wanted to pass that along. Also for you club members, thank you to all the gold members who joined on on our private Zoom on Thursday. Had a bunch of them there. It was really great to see everybody. And if you want to become a gold member, go to the Empire Media YouTube page, see the word join, click on there, go from there. Also had a couple club member podcasts about, if you haven't checked them out, you club members go up there and check it out. Some stuff on just some leadership aspects of the whole Marshon Lattimore trade, and as well as some Dan Quinn, another one on Dan Quinn. So anyways, check all that out. Now let's get to the news. Let's get to the 5 things I think. First, the news, and by now you probably know that Brian Robinson won't play and Marshon Lattimore won't play. So Lattimore, you kind of figure, because he didn't practice all week, has the hamstring injury. Don't know when he's going to be back out there. Short week next week. I don't know that I would see them doing that, but I don't know. They're not saying, and it's really not clear when he might be back out there. What I did see him do on Friday is working on a field away from everybody else, just with the trainers, and doing a lot of, there's agility work. I believe he did some running, doing some stuff where he's basically has a rope to his waist, and doing some, basically focusing on high knee steps, right? And then sometimes chopping his feet and then chopping him kind of half go and then boom, 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 boom. So that's what I saw him doing. So it's good to see him working. He is out there working. That's a good sign. Brian Robinson was not on the field Friday, did go limited on Wednesday and Thursday. But for Lattimore, don't know yet. And for Robinson, again, he's out as well. Austin Seibert dealing with a hip issue. They did sign kicker Zane Gonzalez to the practice squad. I was told it was as an insurance policy. We'll find out later on Saturday what that could mean if they elevate Gonzalez off the practice squad or not. If they don't elevate him, then Seibert's in good shape. And then also, what do they do to replace Robinson this week? So the rule is you can be elevated off the practice squad 3 times. So if you do that, if you want to bring up Chris Rodriguez, he's coming off a good game. I think he'd be the guy you want to bring up. He's got the experience. If you do that, you then have to cut somebody or put somebody on IR. Keep in mind that Colson Yankoff was already ruled out for this game because of a hamstring injury. It's possible that you could put him on IR. He hasn't really, you could do that if you want to do that short-term IR, and then you could elevate Rodriguez. The other option would be to elevate Rodriguez and cut somebody else, or elevate Michael Wiley. I think given Rodriguez's experience, you'd want to elevate him. So anyways, just something to watch for on Saturday for sure. So, man, this is a fun matchup. I think if you're going to this game, it should be a fun one. I do expect a lot of Steelers fans there. I'm sure when this game came out, they bought a lot of tickets. So I do expect Pittsburgh to have a pretty strong showing, but I do think it's going to be a very fun atmosphere. And I also think that in the future, you'll see less and less opposing fans there, because this year is going to really, I think, allow ticket sales to be aggressively sold to the home fans, right? I did think more season ticket sales will be sold, just going to fill it up differently. I think you're going to get back to what it was at some point in the near future. Anyways, but it is going to be a fun game. And I think these are 2 good teams. It's not a fluke team over here, and it's certainly not a fluke team over there. So 2 good teams. And so let's get to the 5 things I think. Speaking of that game, I think we are way beyond the measuring sticks games for Washington. Doesn't mean you don't learn something about a team every week, but if you're not convinced by now that this is a good team, then I'm not sure what's going to convince you. So if they go out and win, they go out and lose, whatever they do, I still think they're a good team. I still like where they're headed, not only in the future, but this year. So, and I think, it's a little bit of a cliche with that. I just think this is a good team. And so, I learn something about this team every week, and you learn something Sunday but I, I know they're going to compete. I know they're going to be physical and play hard. This is who they are. Like they talk about creating identity. That's it. And what helps make that? Well, obviously Dan Quinn and his assistant coaches set that tone, right? Quinn sets a tone for the building. The assistant coaches carry it out, but you also get players in there who do it as well. So you get guys like Jaden Daniels, who eats, breathes, sleeps football, right? That's what he does. Guys who really like to play. And it's funny to say how important it is to have a lot of guys in key spots, especially who just love competing, who love football. You do not always get that, but you have it, I think, with this group. I mean, and it's not always the big name guys like Bobby Wagner, that. Terry McLaurin, that, right? But it's also guys like De'Ami Brown. And he plays special teams. You don't play special teams at this point and contribute. I mean, you do it to stay in the league, but you got to love the game too. But I also think for him, it's how you contribute and when. And the third down catch he had last week and the stiff arm on there, that was a big play. But I think the other part for De'Ami Brown is on those little tunnel screens and just how hard you have to play to get yards on those plays, right? So, and it's funny because I talked to him about that recently, and that's not something he had to do in college. That's new to him in the NFL. I know when he came to the NFL, one of the things they liked is that they felt like he could take some slant passes and break them and get some long gains. Well, that's what he's starting to do on these particular routes. And it's funny because he's watched other guys take that same route to the house. He feels like he's close to doing that as well. They set it up well, but I also think it takes a strong mentality to carry that out. You got to have some toughness as a receiver to do that. This team has a lot of guys like that. And then I look at, other guys like you go in the locker room and Derek Forrest, guy's not playing. But when you see him in the locker room, he's not hanging his head. He's not doing anything. You see him in his locker, hey, how you doing? I'm good, man. I'm good. And so I think when you have guys like that who have a good attitude about it, even if it's not going well for them, I mean, it's got to be hard for that guy to not be out there. Guy likes to play football, but he's not a problem here. And we've certainly seen that. Jeremy Reeves, guys like that. Again, Terry Wagner, like all those guys. I think the more guys you have like that, the better off you are. And I think it leads to a certain mentality on your team. But then you also have the tough guys, the Sandra Stills and all that, who are just, Luvu. I mean, there's just a lot of guys that have a certain mentality that I think really lends itself to having this kind of a team. So it allows you to play that tough, physical, smart style that makes a difference in tight games, because there are games, that Giants game, like in the past, there could have certainly been moments where they don't finish that game. Like they finished that game well. The Giants went down and scored. They were out of it the whole game. They go down and score. In the past that there would have been some heartbreak that may have awaited, right? But this time they go down there and they take a knee inside the 5 to close out the game. Just a hell of a drive. But anyways, I think that's what you have here. That's why I say, like, the measuring stick, like, yes, to see the win or loss and all that, but I'm fairly convinced that this team's going to have a good second half to the year, regardless of what happens this week and even on Thursday. So if you can split these games, that's fantastic. You sweep them, that's unbelievable. Then I will say, then what you do learn is just that not only are they good, they're really good. So, but I think you still want to see how does it look like with Marshon Lattimore, and that leads me into my second item, which is I think Marshon Lattimore is going to add quite a bit to this defense, not just on the field, but in that meeting room, in the locker room. And it's not because he's considered this great leader. Like people I talked to somebody who coached him down there or was on the coaching staff down there. Is like, he's not a leader, but you do learn from guys like that. So you can be, just like, how does this guy approach it? What's his approach to this? How does he handle a situation? Like, you now have guys like Benjamin St-Juste, all those guys, Mike Samuelstill, Emmanuel Forbes, are going to watch how this guy operates, because this guy's a 4-time Pro Bowler. They haven't had anybody like that here in a long time. So yeah, on the first day he was out here, we're watching him with Benjamin St. Juste. They're just, it looks like he's teaching him some things, but really what they were really doing was going, I put video up on the site here too, but really what they're doing is kind of going over what their respective techniques are. And then you see Jason Simmons, the defensive back coach, who's working with them, talking about some things, but it will help because you can't have like, Lattimore's got the knowledge of what he does because what he does has worked. Now he's got different skill, but what he has done works. So these guys can learn from that. But it's also getting a dog in the room. Like he's talking to one player, like they don't have a guy like that in that room who's just got that. And it's funny because everybody describes him that way. And what does that mean? Well, it's an intense competitor to me, and a guy who doesn't back down, and a guy who's going to get up in your face and like, okay, you got me, I'm getting you now. You think you're the best guy, I'm taking you. Like you want guys like that in the room. And that's what they have. And it allows others to go play their more natural spots, allows the defense to mix and match. If you don't think that St. Juste is the best matchup on, the other number two on the other side, you can put Samuel on him. You can, if you think Samuel and Igbenogany are better, and then with Lattimore, obviously Igbenogany inside and Samuel and Lattimore outside, you can do that too. So it just allows you to mix and match a lot more. But I think the dog in the room is a big deal because you always want to have some attitude in there, and it's good attitude. It's because it's what you want. So I think that's very important. And then as a player, just on the field, it's funny because this guy, when you talk to people, like one of the things he does a really good job reading the release of a receiver, does a good job reading the pattern concept. So if it's a 2x2, it's a 3x1, he knows what he's probably going to get, and that allows him to play better. And also, as one player told me, he's a better athlete than most of the wide receivers he's going to face. Again, you haven't really had that in a while here. I mean, D'Angelo Hall was a good athlete, but to me, you go way back to Champ Bailey before you got that kind of a corner with that kind of a potential. So, and again, the big question for him is stay healthy. Can you be healthy? Plus, the other key here, he's 6 foot, so he's got he's good size for a corner, good length, and he's fast. So he's got that recovery. He's got good hips. So, like for example, I actually was talking to Terry McLaurin about this because he faced him, first of all, in college. He went to Ohio State, so he played him all the time in practice, but also against New Orleans a couple of years ago. And he said there were times where he was open, but if the ball is not thrown on time, it's not going to matter. So you have to play with really good timing and rhythm if you want to complete some throws on him. And you're going to, obviously, every corner is going to get beaten sometimes, and every corner is going to give up a play. I remember Champ Bailey one game when they played the Giants, and I think it was Amani Toomer, shut him down all game, gives up one catch. It was a touchdown, and that's the play that people remember, but he shut him down the rest of the game. Shut him down. So you're going to give up something, right? But what he does is he makes it hard on the quarterback. He forces that timing, as McLaurin said, to be perfect. That's a big deal. And he loves that challenge. And again, Terry said, I bet you he still doesn't like Mike Evans. But that's just the mindset. Like he went to Glenville High School in Cleveland. That's my neck of it's my area, right? But the reputation. That's a tough school reputation. Like they produce tough players, and that's what he is. And so I can't say enough how much I think he's going to help because of that. Just be healthy, and he's going to help. So again, he's gonna lose some, but he's gonna get right back up and get in your face and go again. Now, the one thing that I've always heard too is that yeah, you do that. Sometimes you let up a little bit against some of the lower guys, but one thing we know is that he's not going to give up those 50-yard bombs. He's not going to give up some of the long ones that these guys have given up, and he's going. Listen, man, I talked to some of the defensive linemen about this week, and you should see the smiles on their face. Like you talk to, guys like Dorrance Armstrong or Johnny Newton, like they get smiles on their face when you talk to them about this because, and there are coaches too, because I know I've had the conversations and you see there's a twinkle in their eye when they talk about like just that extra half second to get home. That's what he gives you. So there's so much to wait, but you're going to have to wait at least maybe another 5-6 days or whatever it is till Thursday, or another, or maybe 2 weeks until they play Dallas. But you want him out there healthy because if he is, he's going to be a hell of a, he's going to be really good. That's hamstring, man. Those things are tough, but looked like he was doing okay out there today, or as I record this on Friday. So anyway, stay tuned for him.
Hey, it's Bram Weinstein here, voice of the Commanders, and of course, frequent guest of this podcast, The John Keim Report. I wanted to let you all know that my show, which airs at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on ESPN 630, is now exclusively produced by Empire Media, my company, and is going to be distributed through our network. So I'm asking you, please, if you subscribe to this show and love this show, give mine a try as well. Subscribe to the Bram Weinstein Show wherever you get your podcasts, and many of the shows and many of the elements that are in the show will be available on the Empire Media YouTube channel. We're going to talk a ton of Commanders and other DC sports. Check it out.
Number 3, I think Terry McLaurin is really a factor in the red zone this year, and it's about time. So a couple numbers for you. 5 red zone touchdowns already. That's a career high. Previous high was 3. 7 targets in the red zone already. That's 1 less than he had all of last year. That was criminal. And it's most likely going to be a career high this year if you continue on this pace. His previous career high, though, was 13 as a rookie in 14 games. That was really good, but he was also very effective, and it was good play calling, etc. It's just, it was bad how it was for him in the red zone. So there's more of an emphasis on there. Why is that? Well, one, the quarterback. So obviously Jaden Daniels is looking for McLaurin. And I think there was a good lesson he learned against the Browns where he threw his one of the interceptions. One of his 2 interceptions he thrown was against the Browns. So I've talked about this before, but on the one side, you have McLaurin in a man coverage situation. He had zone on the other side. Well, he opted for the zone side. You pick a side, you go, but it was the wrong move. And, the right move in that situation is you got one-on-one over here and you got McLaurin in a one-on-one, you're going to McLaurin. So he learned that. So what happened last week? Similar situation, got McLaurin on the left. I think it was with McCaffrey. They both there. Now so he gets a man coverage. Boom, you go there, touchdown, easy money, right? So that's a lesson, but that's Jaden Daniels, man. Like, that's learning something, applying it when you get it again. The funny thing is too, like, because the Giants could have switched it up too and ran little in and out. So you maybe have the inside, Terry's on the outside, comes inside. Could have had the inside corner, take him, and then McCaffrey has to go outside. But they have an adjustment for that as well. So anyway, that's one thing too. And I think the other thing is, and you go back to the Arizona game that McLaurin brought up, is like the patience that you have to run your routes within there sometimes and knowing how to attack a guy. So if you remember his touchdown against Arizona, just little to the back of the end zone. But what made that play so good for him is it showed where he has come as a route runner in the red zone. So he said on that one, he's in a stack formation. You got the defensive back is basically playing him flat-footed, and he's got his feet on the goal line. So in that situation, he's going to play flat foot for a little bit, but you want to basically attack the toes, right? So, but what you also do is you want to widen that guy just a little bit because you're coming back over the middle. So he was able to, it's not a severe wide, but he was able to get him wide enough. But then as he was approaching him, he was patient. That's where the timing comes into play. So he wasn't going all out, because he said sometimes in the past, he was too impatient on this play. And while he might cut and be open initially, the corner could recover before the quarterback's ready to throw. This time you could see him. He definitely was a little bit slower, maybe 3/4 speed, kind of widen a little bit, and then boom, cuts back inside. Here comes the ball. He's got great separation. Cornerback can't recover because he widened him enough and cuts back inside. That to me is part of the maturity of McLaurin running his routes too. That's why I think he's become more successful in there. And I think, again, that plus a quarterback who looks for him and has found him makes a big difference. All right, number 4. I think Pittsburgh's offense is going to be interesting. I do not think they're this dynamic offense. They are not doing a lot of stuff that maybe some other teams do. I almost want to describe it as almost some meat and potatoes. They're pretty straightforward. As we were talking to Logan Paulson about this too. He called them straightforward. Other people have said the same thing. Maybe more of a meat and potatoes. Just kind of get some basic stuff, but you do it and you do it well. And so one of the things that they do, and part of this is they play off their defense and their special teams. Their special teams with Danny Smith, former Redskins special team coach, they're really, really good. And this team's special teams are really good. So it's going to be fun for that reason too. Like, If you're a football aficionado, you're going to like this matchup. But the Steelers can play this way because, again, the special teams creates plays, creates a lot of issues for teams, and the defense is really good. So it allows the Steelers to play from ahead, and that feeds into their run game with Najee Harris and then Russell Wilson in the play action game. The offense has been better with Wilson in charge. The last 2 weeks, more than 400 yards of total offense. It's the first time they've had that many yards in consecutive games since 2018. Najee Harris over 100 yards rushing in each of the last 3 games. Before then, he wasn't doing a whole lot. Last 3 games, he's really starting to cook. So that's going to be something to watch too. Now, again, not a dynamic offense, but they play well from ahead. They are built to play from ahead. And you have their offensive line is banged up. They've lost 3 starters. Like they have Broderick Jones is starting at right tackle. He's a first-round pick, guys. He's not playing. He's not a very good right tackle. So just remember that when everybody screams for a first-round tackle. Sometimes you get a guy in the 3rd round and Brandon Coleman who might be a better player. Anyways, that aside, he's beatable, highly beatable. And you have a backup at left tackle who's actually playing well. But they are missing guys up front. And they have a rookie center. Like there are ways where you look at that, you could take advantage of this, and this. But the Steelers do a good job because they run the ball relentlessly, and they're going to just keep running it and keep running, and then use the play action passes off of that. So the coaching staff, to me, does a good job of keeping the line in good situations and not asking them to do a ton to pass protect. And when you're running all the boots and the play actions, it slows the pass rush because they do a good job of marrying the concepts of the pass to the run. And the other thing is Wilson does a lot of the play action stuff from under center. So if you like watching quarterbacks operate under center, Sunday's your game. Not like it's every play, but he definitely does a lot because they can. The Steelers will use a lot of 3 tight end sets that help that run game, right? So that's going to give that line some protection. They use 3 tight end sets almost 20% of the time. By comparison, Washington uses 3 tight end sets about 5% of the time. So just a big difference with the play action game. Again, a lot of stuff from under center. I think in the last 2 games, it's been 22 pass attempts from under center out of play action. Russell's completed 15. Does a really good job hiding that ball. That's the whole point of it, right? You turn your back, you hide the ball, and now the defensive back, what you've got to key on, like everything is, anytime you face an offense, like, hey, you just got to key your reads. Well, sometimes it's hard to do that, especially if they give you some eye candy, right? Or if especially you're not sure. And so you'll see, like, for example, during the Panthers game, there's a play where Quan Martin reads your key. So he reads a tight end over here, a tight end and the tackle both start to block down. So he's assuming a run. So he starts coming up. They send a backside guy behind him, boom, big play, and there you go. So that's stuff you have to, you really have to be focused on the right reads as well. So that, because you don't want that to happen, because Russell Wilson will take shots. He does throw the ball deep. He's a good deep ball thrower. And then, they will attack. And they'll attack with George Pickens, and then they just added Mike Williams. And Mike Williams, 6'4", really good contested catches. Did not have a good start to the year, obviously coming off the ACL with the Jets. But the Steelers got a guy that they needed because they have guys that can make plays. Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller. They can make some plays, but they're not consistent at it. So you have a guy that can be for them. Just depends on when he gets up to speed. But this is a guy that could hurt Washington depending on how much time he plays, whatever. But Pickens can as well. Now, Pickens can get a little bit lazy with his blocking. We've seen some of those clips on TV, but he makes some big plays down the field, and Russell Wilson drops some absolute dimes into him. Can that all, and so I will say, sometimes those throws are so damn perfect. You're like, can you do that every week? Well, we've seen a guy over here who does that, but sometimes you might be just a little bit off, and that's what they could use on Sunday because, but Russell drops it in. The other aspect of that is with Harris, because he's a good running back. And this is where also the under center stuff plays and the play action, because there are definitely times where you see the backside of a defense honoring the potential boot by Russell Wilson, having to hold backside, it's almost the same effect as a zone read fake, right? Where you're not sure, is he going to keep it or not? So you're holding backside, and then you hand it off to Najee Harris running left, and he cuts back to the middle. But because you got to hold backside, you might not be able to fill that cutback lane, and it's a big run. So they've really done a good job with that. Harris runs with really good vision, and he's just a good hard runner, but it's a kind of a classic. They create these, because of what I just said, they create natural cutback lanes for him, and he does cut and good vision, and he's patient. So I think that's going to be something to watch for sure. And then finally, I think this is the best defense Washington will have faced definitely this season. However, keep in mind, this is the best offense Pittsburgh will have faced this season. So Pittsburgh got top 5 rankings in a ton of categories, top 3, in a few categories, a few key categories. It's a really good defense, a very stout defense, very stingy against the run. But again, this is the most multi-dimensional offense they will have faced. This is, they faced Kirk Cousins quarterback, but it was his first game with the Falcons. Like, this might be the biggest threat they face. They faced Dak Prescott. Well, I kind of like Jaden Daniels right now, but so while I say that the Pittsburgh's a really good defense, and I do believe they are, like, I don't believe their numbers are inflated because they play bad teams. I think they're a good defense playing offenses that aren't very good. The best offense they have faced is Atlanta, and that was the first game with Cousins with the Falcons. Well, Atlanta right now is would be the 12th ranked offense. 6 of the 8 teams they've played have offenses that would be ranked 19th or lower in scoring. So just keep that in mind. While the stats are really good, let's see what the Steelers do. I'm not even saying that they're not a good defense. I don't believe that. I do believe they're a good defense, but I guess my point would be, this is the best offense they will have faced. And I'm curious to see how this plays out. Like, you want that, I go back to the measuring stick. Not for the whole game, but I am curious to see how both those units stack up against one another, because I think it's a good test for both of them for sure. So obviously, Tomlin's really good against rookie quarterbacks. I think his record is 25-6. Well, the last rookie he lost to was CJ Stroud last year. So, and like Stroud, Daniels is not playing like a rookie at all. So he has never come across like a rookie at all. So I think, now, while the record is nice and it's damn impressive, and what Tomlin does is really impressive, I'm not going to apply the true rookie status to Daniels in that record, because he's just different. So anyways, but they have some really good edge rushers, and TJ Watt, obviously, Alex Highsmith. They just added Preston Smith. We know all about Preston Smith from when he was here. Preston, he was in Green Bay had changed to a 4-3 front, not a fit for him, not a down lineman. He was better at a linebacker. That's where he's going to be with Pittsburgh. So that's a better fit for him. But TJ Watt is the guy, right? I mean, he's the guy that you have to worry about. He, as Kingsbury said, he's a game wrecker, and nobody's going to disagree with that. The funny thing is, like, I did kind of see Andrew Wiley in the locker room say, "Hey, you ready for him?" He's like, his eyes lit up. Like, I think he's excited for this matchup. Because, I mean, obviously you want to go against the best, and that's what this guy is, right? So that's going to be, but you'd also like, if you're Wiley, you want to be excited for that, because otherwise, what kind of competitor are you? But he is. So I think that's going to be a fun matchup. Watt is really good at getting his hands into you and getting the one arm into you and just moving you back. And for Wiley, you got to watch inside. So some of the Steelers rushers will throw some of the spin moves at you. Highsmith, but they'll chip the ends. I think you can also help with your alignment, maybe getting the tight ends in there. You don't even have to chip. You can get them wider. That helps too. These guys are really good at chipping the ends. And that goes back to what I talked about in the beginning with the mindset of these players. And that's Luke McCaffrey. So I forgot to mention it in that section. I'm going to mention it now, because, I was talking to McCaffrey about chipping the ends and how, do you like doing that? What's the art? And it's really just simple as go in there and get a piece of the guy. But what I liked in talking to McCaffrey is how much he enjoyed that aspect. Like, he likes doing that. Why? And I asked him, like, why do you like so much? Because I just like playing football. When you get a lot of guys like that, man, it just makes a difference, because they like competing. But that goes into play here. And I think Eckler is really good at that as well. The tight ends are good at that. Most of the receivers have done a pretty good job at that. but I think that's what they're going to have to do for sure. Now, Pittsburgh they're not even middle of the pack for sacks, but they're dangerous as hell in that area. So you don't want to test it. They're good against the run. You got Cam Hayward in there, and they have taken the ball away. I do think there you can do some things. You have to be smart with the ball. So when I went back and watched, they've intercepted 10 passes this year. So you look at, okay, that's pretty good, right? But to me, when I watch it, there's a lot of bad quarterback play that they have taken advantage of. And you force the bad quarterback play, right? You're going to create some pressures at times, but also just some bad decisions. Like Kirk Cousins had two. I'm like, what are you doing? Listen, I know we watch it here. Sometimes he has those plays, and it becomes a Kirk type interception. But there's also, again, first game with them, but just some bad, like not seeing some guys and just holding the ball in the pocket, and then it's just some bad decisions. Dak Prescott throwing a pass in the red zone. Like, I watched it 3 or 4 times. Like, what are you thinking? Like, protect the points here. Who protects points? Jaden Daniels. So, like, and he also protects the ball. He's smart. Like, some of these throws I've seen these guys that I was watching these picks, like, he doesn't make those kind of throws. He doesn't make that throw. Now, some of them also where there was one where it's like the last play of the game, so just a heave down the field. One was you're down by 15 late or whatever it was late, and you 3rd and 19, you got to get a first down. You're going to force a ball in there. So there were a couple of those too. And there was one against Bo Nix where you force him. He's under pressure. He throws a bad throw to the back of the end zone. Part of it was because he was under duress. So you definitely give him credit for that. However, I do think there was a lot of bad quarterback play when I watched it, and I don't think Jaden Daniels repeats some of those mistakes. But you got to make sure. One thing they also do well, man, if they're coming at you, those ends are going to attack the ball. And they're going to, if with the quarterback in the pocket. So you're getting sacked, you've got to protect that ball because they're going to attack it. So anyway, and then again, and I said, I brought the special teams earlier. They're great at blocking kicks. They blocked 3 or 4, 3 that 4 that should have been ruled a block. I think there was a flag on the play or something, but they're really good there. Danny Smith does a fantastic job. Those players love playing for him. That's going to be like, if you can prevent them from making a play in the kicking game, then you're going to be you'll be in much better shape. But if they're able to make a big play in the kicking game, look out, because that kind of fuels them, but it also plays right into their style of football. So going to be a fun one, folks. Like, this is going to be a difficult one. So I don't, you sometimes like to have a feel. Like, I don't know that I have a great feel for this one. I think of the next 2 games, I kind of like the Philly game. But can they win this game? Of course. Like, there's not a team that I think this team can't beat at this point. So it's just a matter of, can you get a lead? Can you force Pittsburgh's offense to play in a different style than they've been accustomed to? They're playing from ahead a lot, right? So can you get them to play from behind? Change their style a little bit, get them in the gun more and have to operate that way, taking away some of those play actions, the boots, take away some of that run game. Can you do that? Can you get something early in the game to get you going? Because if you do, you can have a good game, and it's going to be a fun one. Can't wait for it. I'll be back after the game, wrapping up the Steelers Commanders, and then we'll have a full week of stuff, even though it's an abbreviated week. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you as always, and talk to you next time.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.